everyone, Anya here at ourgabled.home.com, and today I want to talk to you about some old-fashioned kitchen items that I actually use. So if you've been following me, you know that we have this homestead style, farmhouse style kitchen, and I actually like to use some really old and old-fashioned and vintage kitchen items because sometimes I think they work better. And I'm going to talk to you about what I use and why I use those items pretty much every single day. Items I want to talk to you about are some really good wooden spoons. As you can see, I have some really old ones here. This one is so worn out, and this one is a hand-carved family heirloom. I am not sure who carved it in my family, but I know somebody did, and I almost have a feeling it might have been my father, who unfortunately passed away many years ago, so I couldn't ask him about this one. And then I have this precious spoon that actually has a hook that you can hang it onto something, and it's more of a scoop than a spoon. It's missing something here, but oftentimes that is the case with vintage items, that they're not perfect. They have been used, and I'm not sure actually what happened here. This one I use, we like to buy our flour in bulk, and we have a 50-pound bag of flour in a more remote location, and I have a smaller container right here in my kitchen cabinet. So I use this scoop to scoop the flour out of the smaller container for my everyday use, and this is just perfect. And I love the feel of it. I mean, somebody hand carved it again in my family. It's just absolutely fantastic. And what I like about vintage wooden spoons is that oftentimes the wood is actually much harder, and that is why they last longer. These days, modern spoons are often made from lighter, cheaper woods, and thus they may disintegrate. And even though this one looks well loved and well worn, it is my favorite spoon. I use this all the time. And so is this one with this little hole in it, and this one I can use for stirring something up and also serving. Sometimes that's just perfect. And I love the feel of the wood in my hands. It doesn't get as hot as stainless steel. And also when you're serving something out of cast iron, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, then it doesn't give that weird scraping of metal on the cast iron, and the wood is actually perfect for cast iron cookware. So cast iron, I have to mention it, even though I have some other videos in which I talk about my most used homestead kitchen tools, and I have a longer section about cast iron cookware in there. It just almost goes without saying that cast iron cookware can be vintage and old-fashioned, and I'm still using it. 95% of the time we use our cast iron cookware. We have this nice rack in my kitchen that my husband built for me, where the cast iron cookware is hanging in a dry, airy location. I think it looks really pretty in our kitchen, and so I use it all the time. Speaking of cast iron, I have another item, and that is my cast iron waffle iron. And you just open it up just like so, and pour your waffle batter right into it, and then you put it over a stove. Now, I'm not sure how you use this on an electric stove. We have a gas stove, so it's perfect. You just heat it up, and what's nice about this is that you pour the batter in and you leave it alone. You resist the temptation to want to flip the waffles or look at the waffles before they're actually really cooked. And then once they are cooked, this releases them right out. So no need for Teflon, no need for any weird toxic ingredients. And this is another family heirloom. There's a funny story. I was talking to my cousin, and he said that when he and his brother were living at my grandparents' house, they were using this in the sandbox. I don't know what exactly they did with it. They were probably baking sand waffles. But anyways, here it is. I use it. I have a video where I'm showing you my sourdough waffle recipe. You can check that out if you like. I want to mention another item that I have been using but am currently not using, and that is my hand crank butter churn. So as you can see, it is missing the glass, and I have been on a journey to find a replacement glass. Now, as you may know, and as some of you can hear, I was born and raised in Germany, so some people hear a slight German accent there. And I got this from my grandparents in Germany. Now, the thread here and the sizing, all of it is European, and I thought I found a vintage one that was just a perfect replacement. I got it in Germany, I ordered it, I brought it over here only to find out that the neck of the glass didn't quite fit. So I'm still on a quest to find a replacement glass, and if you're so inclined, I will leave the measurements for this in the description box of this video. If you happen to have a replacement glass that works for this, please let me know. I would love to have it because this works so well. There's something about the mechanism in the old days where how they did it and how they manufactured it that just works so well. And even though, yes, it takes a little bit longer to hand churn butter than to just throw it in your blender, it's actually kind of fun. And if you have kids with too much energy, you can always set them to good use with the hand crank butter churn. This is one of my favorite items here. It is a carbon knife. So why would you use carbon? Carbon is a much nicer steel. It's actually really easy to get it sharp. You just use it a few times over a honing steel or a knife sharpener, and sometimes I just go and then I can just cut away. It stays super sharp. It is a bit the cast iron of the knives because you cannot let it sit wet, or if you cut a lemon and the acidity from the lemon will also make it tarnish a little bit, but that doesn't actually do anything to it. It doesn't hurt it. There are some erasers that you can get from the company that makes these, or you can just use steel wool, or I use a copper scrubber to get the tarnish off, or you can just use baking soda. There's various few methods how you can clean this, but it is absolutely one of my favorite knives, a carbon knife. They don't make them very often anymore and people don't like to use them. I absolutely love it. Again, in the description box, I'm linking where you can get this if you're interested. And they're actually really inexpensive. That's the best thing. They're super sharp and very inexpensive. And in Germany, there's a saying that if they don't rust, they are not very sharp. Rostet nicht, schneidet nicht. So check that out. And in terms of cutting, this is another family heirloom that I absolutely love. It's a very hefty, in English it's called Mezzaluna. In German it's called Wiegemesser, which essentially means like a rocking knife. And what you use it for is to chop herbs. If you got parsley, you put that onto a wooden cutting board and you just go like this back and forth in different angles, and it cuts it really nice instead of having to cut the herbs this way. And I use this a lot. It's a really good size, even for big hands. My hands aren't that big, but if somebody had bigger hands, and it's a really heavy, nice quality. I do want to mention this old-fashioned looking tea kettle. It's not very old. It could be 15, 20 years old. We use it every single day. I love it because I can put it on my gas stove and it heats water super fast. It has a copper bottom, so copper is very heat conducive, so it actually heats it up a little bit faster than, I guess, stainless steel. This is a good size. I want to say this is almost 1.5 quarts, if not more than that. And we use it every single day for making coffee, for making tea, for boiling water if we want to make some soups and get that going a little bit quicker. So this is another item that I actually use all the time, and that's my old-fashioned tea kettle. And as we are talking about drinks, hot drinks, coffee, this is another hand crank coffee grinder. I wrote it on the back. This could be from 1910, 1929, another heirloom that I found at my grandparents. And you simply grind the coffee like this. And if you're wondering why I'm holding it this way, it's supposed to be mounted on the wall. They were somewhat popular in Europe for a while. And I just want to show you how easy it is. Now, it's not so easy when you have to hold it, but it's actually easier when it's mounted to the wall. I have here about 2 tablespoons of coffee beans, which is the appropriate amount for about a cup of coffee. I'm going to fill this in here and show you just how easy that is. Again, there's something about old-fashioned mechanisms. They are so efficient and they work so well and they move so easily. And I have to say that I'm not sure that you can actually adjust the grind here, but this grind makes a perfect tasting cup of coffee that I haven't found in the electric grinder that we use. So again, bear with me. The only reason we haven't attached this to the wall is because in our new kitchen, we haven't found the ideal spot. And I can just move it as I'm talking to you. Like I said, this is not ideal at all, but I just wanted to show you that it doesn't take much. And if you live off-grid, this is perfect because you don't need electricity for it. You don't need electricity for the tea kettle on the gas stove. And you can still get your cup of coffee if you have a power outage. And here is, I need to move this up. Here is your ground coffee. It smells wonderful. It's something that I need to actually attach back to the wall. The only reason we haven't done it is there's one spot. We're not quite sure if there's actually electrical wires behind it. So we have been a little bit hesitant drilling into that wall and mounting it, because if you mount it to the wall, you want to make sure it actually stays there and doesn't move. So that's something to stay tuned about when we actually mount it on the wall. And last but not least, here is my linen apron that I have sewn some years ago that people absolutely love. It's crossover in the back. You just throw it over your head. There's no need to tie it. It has 2 pockets that you can stick your hands in or keep any little things in there. If you run around with a smartphone, you can also stick that in the pocket. I do have some videos about how to make this apron if you're interested, but that is just so versatile and so useful in a kitchen where you cook and where it splatters and you don't get any stains on your clothes. You're saving your clothes. So that's another old-fashioned kitchen item that I use all the time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new here on my channel, please hit the subscribe button. I upload a new video every Tuesday morning. If you have any requests for videos that I should make on recipes or more what we do in our homestead kitchen or gardening, sewing, DIY projects, please let me know in the description box. I always love to hear from you, all your comments and questions. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching.